Hey guys, it's Ashley, and today's video is going to be on Daniel 11, the history of verses 1 through 20. So stick with me to hear what I have to say. All right, so this video is just going to be a teaser. I'm pretty much going to give you nuggets on some historic events of some people, so then the ball has started to form, so then you can roll it on your own. Because a lot of my time when I studied this chapter is going to be more so verses 21 through 45. Verses 1 through 20, from my point of view, is just more historic, whereas verses 21 through 45 is going to be, yes, some history, but also definitely a prophecy. When we're reading prophetic verses, we need to understand that when we read prophecy from the Bible, at times prophecy has happened in part in the past, but there's future fulfillment for it in the future. Okay, so verses 1 through 20, I believe, is just historic, whereas 21 through 45 is going to be that dual fulfillment of scripture. So that's where a lot of my time was getting spent, because I'm an end times buff, and that's where I want to put my time in. But I want to give you at least a little foundation of verses 1 through 20. So starting in verse 2, we're going to see the Persian Empire. Okay, and so when it's talking about there's going to be 3 more kings that rise in Persia, and then there's going to be a 4th who is far richer than them all. Those kings, and you can go ahead and take a screenshot. I looked this up. I got help from Barnes and Guzik. Those are 2 commentators that I'll study under. So those 3 kings would be that of, I'm going to pronounce them wrong, Cambis, Smerdis, and then Darius, Hystaspes. And then the 4th would be Exerx, Extras. I don't know. One thing that I am not good at is pronunciations and grammar, spelling, all of it. It's okay. Maybe the Lord just was like, that's how you'll stay humble. And I'm like, okay. All right, so now verse 3 and 4. This is where we're going to spend the majority of our time. We're now going to talk about the Greek Empire. Very important we understand the history of the Greek Empire, because it's going to help set the stage for the remaining verses, even the verses that are going to be that dual fulfillment, starting with verse 21 and moving forward. So it says in verse 3, then a mighty king shall arise, who shall rule with great dominion and do according to his will. This will be Alexander the Great. Verse 4, and when he has risen, his kingdom shall be broken up and divided toward the 4 winds of heaven, but not among his, I'm going to say this word wrong, his posterity, nor according to his dominion with which he ruled, for his kingdom shall be uprooted, even for others besides these. What I believe this scripture is talking about is that Greek Empire is going to split into 4 parts. And we know this also by the book of Daniel chapter 8. So in Daniel 8, you're going to see a ram and a goat. If you go study more in detail about the goat, I believe it's very similar to what's being talked about here in verse 4. So I made a map. Okay, so I think I did some shorts on this as well, so you can go, check them out if you want. But that is how that Greek Empire split. It's split into 4 parts, okay? The red is going to be Cassander. The green is going to be Lysimachus. The yellow, bear with me, is going to be Seleucid. There we go. The Seleucid dynasty. And then the purple will be Ptolemy. So we're going to zone into the Seleucid dynasty and the Ptolemy dynasty, the yellow and the purple. Okay? So we're going to eventually see like the king of the north, the king of the south, the king of the north, the king of the south, like over and over and over. What they're talking about is going to be the north is that Seleucid dynasty. Okay? You're going to really want to memorize that. The north is the Seleucid dynasty. The headquarters will be Syria. Then south. The south would be the Ptolemy dynasty. The headquarters is Egypt. So do whatever you got to do to get that in your brain, because that's going to help you read the following verses. Okay, so I'll show you this one more time. So there you go. That yellow is that Seleucid dynasty. Headquarters is Syria. Purple is going to be Ptolemy dynasty, and that's going to be headquarters Egypt. I know we're not here yet, but a man named Antiochus, he's going to come from that Seleucid dynasty. Okay, very important for once we start reading verses 21 moving forward. So that was a nice summary of verse 3 and 4. So now some of you will be like, what, Ashley? I wanted you to talk more. I just have to prioritize my time. So I did not go major in depth with the following verses. But for the most part, I mean, I'm just going to read what I have. I usually don't like when people read from notes. I'd rather have this, but I don't have this memorized. And you can actually take a screenshot too. But pretty much the verses now, like 5 through 20, it's just going to be going through different kings of the north and south. We're going to go through, I would say, maybe 3 to 4 generations. And like I mentioned, I believe I mentioned this. Maybe I didn't. I don't think I did. If you want more information on this, I would go study under a man named Barnes through the website Bible Hub. And I'll put that on the bottom. There's a lot of things that I do disagree with Barnes, but the historic part of these verses, I think he's the best guy so far that has the best information. He uses lots of big words, FYI, but you should gather some information if you're interested. So for the most part, verses 5 through 20 is going to be this. Pretty much what's going on here is various generations from the south, Egypt, known as the Ptolemaic dynasty, is battling with the north. That would be Syria, that Seleucid dynasty. The generational line of the south, from what I've gathered, is going to be Ptolemy the first through Ptolemy the fourth. And then with the north, that Seleucid dynasty, Syria, we're going to have, I might say this wrong, Seleucus, like the first through Seleucus the third, as well as Antiochus the second through Antiochus the third. And so, there you go. That's all I'm giving you. So at least you know of some of the kings that were ruling, and now you have some information on where to go gather some more details. All right, that was short and sweet. And now get ready for the juiciest part of Daniel. Okay, so the next video, we're going to go into depth with a man named Antiochus and the Antichrist. All right, bye guys.